Right. As everyone starts to trickle in and join on the webinar, first of all, I'd like to say good afternoon and thank you for joining our Restaurant Operation Profit Driver webinar. And in just about 1 or 2 minutes, we'll get everything started up. I want to make sure everyone has a chance to join. But thank you for being here. All right. Good afternoon again, and thank you for joining DTiQ's Restaurant Operation Profit Driver webinar. I'm Glenn Brown, a Customer Success Manager here at DTiQ, and I'll be the moderator through our thought leadership discussion. I'm super happy and excited to be here with you. I come from a restaurant leadership background. I worked at Starbucks for just under 20 years, all up and down the East Coast. I bring that up because what you're getting today is a perspective and some best practices through the eyes of a previous restaurant operator. Some things to note, this will be a recorded webinar. We'll start the show off with a quick introduction video to the DTiQ brand. Mind you, this isn't meant to be salesy. We just want you to have an understanding into what we do as it relates to our expertise for this webinar today.
DTiQ is a comprehensive solution that combines intelligent video and advanced analytics to deliver unmatched insights, generating ROI at every location. Our solution doesn't just help with loss prevention or record surveillance video. It's an intelligence system that can help your team increase your bottom line in a variety of ways. DTiQ identifies the real customer experience inside your locations. DTiQ gives you a way to measure and improve employee engagement. We even use advanced algorithms and artificial intelligence so you can see if your employees are following the right loss prevention or operational procedures. In the case of a safety event, our solution interacts with your team in real time to protect you and keep your business running. It takes a sophisticated system to do all of this. There are so many things to pay attention to. How do you know where to focus? Which areas are more important? How can you sift through all this data? This is what makes us unique. We do more than simply identify all these daily issues and send you alerts. We correlate them, enter them into a customized database, and most importantly, we have experts to review it for you. We score each location and can help your Bobs and Sarahs take the right action. We have hundreds of experts familiar with your business. Additionally, nearly all of our customers' locations are less than an hour's drive from one of our team members who can help your managers at their location. DTiQ combines cutting-edge technology with unparalleled expertise to deliver what truly matters: superior results to your locations. There's a reason why we're the industry leader. Just ask one of our 45,000 locations, or better yet, ask us.
Awesome. Awesome. So again, what we're going to show you today are some tactical options that you can implement immediately right now. Some of these may seem obvious, but all of these options and more are what DTiQ focuses on with our clients to drive that operational success. Some things to expect today. We have plenty of engagement, we have some polls, and we have some Q&A. We'll spend the next 30 minutes or so discussing some of our industry's most commonly faced challenges. We'll discuss some solutions and some best practices that you can apply today to tackle those challenges head on. First up is loss prevention. One of our trusted partners, Brooke Whitney, will join us as a guest speaker. Brooke is the district manager of SMK Donuts, where she manages 7 Dunkin locations. We'll then jump into best practices around guest experience and safety and security to follow. To be transparent, we believe our products and services can help you become better, more profitable operators. But we're here today to discuss common practices that you can apply right now. I want everyone to feel comfortable adding those questions in the chat along the way. We will answer them in real time, and where appropriate, we may hold those questions until the end during our Q&A session, or if time permitting, follow up with you after the webinar. First up, we have loss prevention. As a previous restaurant operator, I can tell you the amount of uncontrollables that affect our businesses every day. The list is endless and ever growing. Loss prevention is a controllable though. So today we're going to go over what we can control and how we can really get a handle on saving our business money and looking forward to the future with a better outlook. Prior to digging too deep into loss prevention, we have a video for you. So let's take a look at this video caught by DTiQ's Video Solutions team. And I'm telling you, you have to see it to believe it. Let's see if you can find all the incidents our auditors caught. Watch. All right, watch his left hand. We've already eaten a fry. Goodness gracious. I mean, you truly do have to see it to believe it. Eating customer food without gloves, not putting the cash in the register, throwing away the receipt and pocketing the cash. There is no doubt that this transaction was costly. I think about how each of these actions impact your bottom line, and wouldn't you want to know about it? Before we dive a little deeper into loss prevention, we have a poll for everyone. Which of the following items impacts your food cost being between 28 and 35%? Is it food waste management, POS order accuracy, employee theft? Could it be something else? Or maybe you're not sure what's impacting your food cost. Give everyone a minute, make sure they've taken the poll. I can't wait to see the results. All right, we got a good mix. We have a good mix of different factors that are truly affecting our ability to control cost and really prevent that loss within our stores. Food waste management comes in at 22%. POS order accuracy, about 13%, but the big one is employee theft. Let's dive in a little bit deeper into loss prevention. When I think about loss prevention, and one of the major issues, especially in the restaurant industry, is controlling food weight or portions. When portion control gets out of whack, the result is incremental money lost over time with large portions. And I mean, we're talking thousands upon even more dollars over the course of a year if left unattended. Another thing that I initially think of is through those eyes of the customer, right? It provides that inconsistent guest experience. So, some of our customers may say, "Oh, I'd love to go back to that restaurant, man. My burger was huge last time." But then some of the same customers could be saying, "I'm not going back there. I barely got a burger patty on my sandwich." That was inconsistent. And consistency is really what drives our business and why our customers rely on us to provide a product that they know they're going to get. Some ways to manage your food weight and your portions. The installation of a PAR system. And we all know, we thrive on those promotional products and the seasonality of business, and we know it like the back of our hand. So those PARs and setting out to your team a certain level of ingredients to make on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, they are going to need to be adjusted. But managing those PARs and having an idea of what you're going to need based on your previous business, that is key. Another way to do it is through spot checking your food preparation by video review. Do you have cameras in your prep area? And are you using scales? And if you are, can those cameras see the digital readout on the scales for you to be able to remotely check if your team is prepping to the right levels? And then, of course, another way to get to that sweet spot where your average food cost, really, you want that to account for 28 to 35% of your revenue, is that pre-shift weigh-in on your most expensive items. So we've talked a little bit about food weight and portions, but I know that after that poll, our biggest issue preventing our food costs from being in the sweet spot is team members bringing food home, employee theft. Think about it. We want our food to leave with our customers out the front door. The last thing we want is for our product that we are spending our money on to leave out the back door with our employees. The result of that is going to be, again, loss of money from the free food, and it could be a crazy amount of money over time. But it's a double-edged sword, because not only are you losing money and losing product, which is affecting your inventory, but then you're also faced with a staffing challenge. You now have to hold employees accountable and then replace those employees. And one thing that we can all say and all agree on this webinar is that staffing is still an uphill battle, and we have not reached the top of it yet. Some ways to manage the employee theft through the team members bringing food home is monitoring the food prep towards your close of business, maybe setting some end of shift guidelines. We're going to keep this, we're dating this, we're not going to keep this, this is how we mark it out. Even the installation of a donation practice. And also using your cameras, again, reviewing those exit doors and camera footage. Just have an eye at the close of business on your front door and back door. Order accuracy. So again, we've discussed food weight portions. We've discussed employee food theft. And so if those are both not issues in our locations, order accuracy is. And 22% of you said that it was affecting your food costs. When I think of order accuracy, I think of the triple dip. And that's really going to be that end result of incorrect order accuracy. Your first cost of goods. Well, if the order wasn't accurate, wasn't what the customer wanted, you're going to provide a refund to that customer. So you've already paid for the first cost of goods. You've issued the refund, and 9 times out of 10, we want to encourage that return and have that customer come back, give us another chance and see us again. So then there's going to be that second cost of goods that we're usually going to give away for free. That triple dip has effects that are long lasting over time. Some ways that we can put into action right now and manage that is to remind our employees on the register to repeat that order back to the guests. It's okay to repeat every specification because our guests, if they didn't trust us, they wouldn't be specifying. Training our employees on ringing in those correct items. Remember, our data is only as good as the information being input to it. And then making sure that you have a system in place to review all of your void and discounted transactions, either with a team of employees, maybe with your managers, in some sort of cadence, end of shift, end of week, leadership meeting. So we've discussed loss prevention, and you've heard about some best practices, but now let's hear from an operator who's putting it into place, a trusted DTiQ client. Hi, Brooke, how are you?
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Glenn. My name is Brooke Whitney. I'm a district manager for 9 Dunkin locations in the Northeast area. When I first started out with this network, we did the normal daily and weekly reports. When going through those reports, whether it would have been the daily or the weekly, we would see the numbers of returns being done and the amount of discounts being given. But at that point, it was just numbers. And then we'd have to pull up the transactions, go through, pull up the camera footage, and ultimately try to figure out what was going on. And like you said, we all have a staffing issue. It's a constant revolving door. So within training new management is catching new bad behaviors, training new employees of what not to do. It's just a constant battle, leaving everyone feel kind of defeated. I mean, myself as a manager at one point and watching my managers struggle to figure it out. It was a lot. It was hard to pinpoint them all down, but we did do it. But once we started using DTiQ, it was definitely a lot easier to pinpoint the shortages. As DTiQ links the actual video with the transaction, we find that super helpful. I could review the suspicious transactions or like the high dollar cash refunds for transactional integrity with a few easy clicks just to see what was happening. What is great is through the process, it helps reinforce our internal policies and procedures at the store level. When the managers and employees understand that DTiQ is a very resourceful tool, it gives our senior management an additional peace of mind as well.
Amazing. That's amazing. And so you mentioned, of course, that feeling of the need, right? The need for help and your managers needing that support. Would you say, or how would you say your managers feel now? Do they still kind of have that defeated feeling?
No, we're getting there. We do group trainings as to learning all the DTiQ benefits. Our managers are definitely liking it. It makes them feel better to know when somebody's leaving, they're not taking 4 trays of drinks. They're not taking what was ever left for donuts and bagels. And some employees obviously develop bad habits, and we like to nip those in the bud. So the managers really enjoy using DTiQ. They're all pretty getting good and they're getting pretty handy with the DTiQ dashboard. I'm pretty proud of them.
That's awesome. And really that's putting the right tools in place into the right operator's hands so that they can take action right now. And that's why we're here. Brooke,
Yes,
I appreciate you
helpful.
so much.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having
Absolutely.
me.
No, absolutely. Thanks for being one of our trusted partners. And we look forward to many more successes and wins within your organization and for yourself as well.
Yes, thank you.
Of course. So we move on from loss prevention and hearing from Brooke, and wasn't she amazing? We're moving on to guest experience. We could have all of our financial data just tight in terms of our cost of operations at our locations, but without that proper guest experience, we're not going to be around long, right? You can't do business without guests. And many of that industry titans, they're going to rank guest experience at first line priority. So today we're going to discuss some common challenges that we all are facing in the guest experience world, providing that consistency every time, all the time. And prior to that, you guessed it, we got a poll for everyone. So where does your organization place the highest emphasis in terms of improving the customer experience? Speed of service, order accuracy, front of house operations, cleanliness and presentation, employee engagement, guest interaction, or could it be something else? All right, we ran the board on this one, everyone. So it looks like guest experience, we're facing those different factors on many different levels. Speed of service takes the cake, followed closely behind by order accuracy. Awesome, 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 awesome. Well, now that we've determined what's affecting and where we're placing our highest emphasis on what's driving that guest experience or what could be that challenge we're facing, let's dive in. Our first major hurdle that we experience in ensuring that guest experience is legendary on all levels is knowing when and what to do when we make a mistake. We're all human, and sometimes those orders come out incorrect. Having a proper service recovery model is vital to ensuring our customers come back. Without that proper service recovery, again, we're faced with the triple dip, right? The initial item we needed to remake, the refund, and the item that we usually will comp to ensure that return. But it's going to leave a lasting impact on our guest experience and ability to do future sales. 96% of customers consider not returning due to bad customer service. Some ways that we can tackle that right now, today, are to first staff for that guest experience. Put your aces in their places. Have those most engaged and experienced employees at the register, the ones that just get excited to talk to people, that are very high level on their soft skills. They go on the register, they're that front line. On the back line, maybe using some prep line photos. A lot of people, including myself, visual learners. So having an actual image of what that finished product looks like could greatly help an employee to ensure that order is going to be accurate. Maybe even monitoring the order accuracy yourself. Walking around in the store, in the business, checking in the lobby or in the back of house to ensure our orders are being prepared right. And then also, training. How can you solve every issue? What's that first thing to do? Training those employees on bringing in the correct item. Again, data is only as good as the information being input to it. Another issue that we experience in trying to really drive great guest experience is employee engagement. I know I said it earlier about aces in places and high level soft skills for some employees, but truly the greeting and upselling and that employee engagement piece of our guest experience is vital. Without that, and could you imagine, put yourself in the eyes of a customer. You walk into a business and no one says anything to you. It kind of leaves you lost. Who do I talk to? Where do I go? And if they're not greeted properly, that is that first impression, and we've lost. We're also losing money for that lack of upselling. Do our employees know, who are super engaged and happy to be there on the register, do they know that it could only be a 50-cent jump between each drink size? And maybe we create a fun competition on how to really drive that upselling and the opportunity to capitalize on those more sales. And some more ways to manage that. Of course, we have, maybe a little competition, but again, it's staffing for that guest experience. It's kind of mandating a training on that proper greeting. What is that greeting, whether it's uniform or casual, that you want your guests to experience every time? Possibly even adding upselling to a company policy, and the tried and true tactic of mystery shopping. Have a friend come in, have a family member come in, say, hey, go be a customer in my store. Because remember, Your employees are going to be on their best behavior when you're there. But really, it's really important on how your business is operating when you're not there. So we've discussed employee engagement. We've discussed a service recovery model. So now we need to ensure our customers have a way of telling us what their experience was like. Having a proper customer feedback model to ensure the guest experience is covered on all facets at our locations is key. The customer feedback model is going to lead to improved service. It's going to encourage that likelihood of return and those future sales. And on the screen, we have a testimonial in itself. So some ways to manage it are a 3-button kiosk, a comment box. You can ask for that feedback in person. I found that it's very impactful to take a walk around my business during peak business hours and really solicit to the guests, hey, how was your meal? How was your service? How was placing your order? How was picking up your order? What did you experience? To get a real-time gauge. And another way to get that real-time gauge is through Text the Owner. Text the Owner is an 800 number, and it is immediate text message feedback. And it's a fantastic product. I got to tell you, it's going to allow operators like yourselves to open a clear channel of communication between the guest and yourself in real time. It's also important to note, Text the Owner is a standalone product and is not part of DTiQ in the aspect that you have to be a customer. You can start Text the Owner today. And let's hear it from the source. On the screen, we have from one of our McDonald's Florida customers. Text the Owner is the single most effective service enhancement that I've implemented once complaints were reviewed for growth and rewrite. My 800 numbers were cut in half. Whoa, wouldn't we all love to have the 800 numbers that we get probably 3-4 emails later come back to us? We would just love to cut that in half. What if we could cut that all together with Text the Owner? Okay, team, you guys have been great. We've heard about loss prevention. We've heard about guest experience. And now we're going to talk about safety and security. The last point in that triad of those commonly faced challenges, and we're going to discuss some skills that you can put in place today. We're going to go over slips, trips, and falls in the front of house, maybe even the back of house. We're going to talk about cash register security, making sure your funds are secure from the time they are removed from that register to the time they're put in that safe. And we're even going to bring up some things that are affecting you after hours. But before we begin, you guys know we got a poll for you. What is the highest insurance cost you've paid out due to an accident? Under 10,000? Is it 10 to 20? 20 to 30? Have you paid out over $30,000? Let's see. All right, and looks like it's pretty split. Some of us have paid under 10, but looks like most of us have paid over $30,000 in insurance paid outs due to an accident. Let me just be the first person to say, again, I'm happy you're here. So we mentioned slips, trips, and falls earlier. And speaking of slips, trips, and falls, we have another See It to Believe It video for you, where you'll see 2 employees that were not practicing safe work behavior. This incident resulted in the company protecting themselves, saving this footage, and preventing an insurance payout of, like we all mentioned, probably over $30,000. I'm telling you, you cannot make this stuff up. Don't think this is in the handbook when breaking down cardboard. Maybe we'll go for the bigger box. Almost. Got a little slippery. I say we use a bigger box. Watch that left elbow. Oh. You can feel it from here. Again, you definitely have to see it to believe it. Wow. So, in keeping with the theme of slips, trips, and falls, we know that not having a practice in place for knowing what to do when those events happen is really going to be harmful to our business. If we don't have a practice in place for slips, trips, and falls, front of house, back of house, really anywhere on our properties, we're going to lose money from insurance paydouts, right? Even over $30,000 at some time. But without a policy in place, we're also creating a culture of unsafe work behavior. We are allowing it if we're not stopping it. And that double-edged sword is back. We're presented with a staffing issue again through the potential loss of an employee due to injury. So some things and some ways we can put in place right now to combat that are to ensure we have a training program on safe work behavior, whether it's a safety and security topic of the month, of the week, of the quarter, and not only training on that, but instilling a system where employees can verify, signing on paper or taking a digital training, that they've experienced and they've seen this material and they understand how important it is to be safe. Using our video to capture those incidents is another way we can tackle anytime safety and security becomes an issue in our store. But I will ask, if you're capturing those footages of incidents, how are you storing the video? And do you have a method of sharing the video? Because that is also going to be huge. So let's just say slips, trips, and falls, we got a good handle on it and we're golden here. Another issue we're experiencing through safety and security is the cash drawer. Cash drawer security is, again, it's part of that uphill battle. If your cash drawer is not secure and you don't have proper systems in place for managing that and having kind of a handle on the cash that is coming into your store and going then to the bank, you're going to have an issue. You're going to lose a lot of money through theft. Can you believe it? I know 75% of employees have stolen at least once. And these are the ones that are admitting it. Crazy. They're stealing through voids, discounts, employee meals. We saw the individual eating the fry, pocketing the money after throwing away the receipt, but they're finding other ways. We have to manage this head on. We have to ensure that we have cameras pointing at all cash drawers all the time, and we have a consistent practice of monitoring those cash, whether it's transactions or just that cash drawer activity. Also, again, reviewing those potentially suspicious transactions, the voids, the discounts, and doing that on a daily, a weekly basis so that we can nip that in the bud. If our cash drawers are secure, what happens when the cash drawer is pulled out of the register? That drawer goes back into the office or the back of house workstation and is usually, put in a safe, and it's part of the deposit, right? What if our management office security, our back office is unsecure? That's a huge issue at many restaurants. That can lead to your safe being unattended. Important files, things that you do not, very sensitive information, totally in the open, left unattended. And then, of course, the additional cash out in the open or unattended. It's vital that we have to make sure, whether it's our filing cabinet, our desk, our safe, that they are closed and locked, or the office door, to anyone but upper management on a consistent basis. We also can tackle this head on by using motion detection alerts to notify ourselves of any office activity. If all of my important documents in my office are in my bright green folder on my second shelf, I'm going to have a motion detection on that. And whenever someone grabs that, I want to be notified. Perfect. You are way ahead of the game, and you're halfway up that hill. So we've discussed what happens at our locations when we're open through safety and security, loss prevention, and guest experience. However, our last element of safety and security that really is a factor is an incident happening after hours. One thing we can all say, change in the restaurant industry is constant, and incidents happen all the time. How do we battle an after hours incident? I mean, it can seem a little exhausting, right? Because most of the time, if we don't have a practice in place to battle the after hours incident, we're hearing about it hours later, not notified until the next day. We're so far behind the 8 ball, it's almost unmotivating to take action. Not to mention, in the case of a false alarm, we've all experienced it. And it varies the amount that we are charged. But if there's a false alarm at our location and the police do have to show up and just do a check, get charged for that. Over time, how many false alarms does it take for you to say, I got to take action? I'm doing something about it right now. Some ways to do that are to change the alarm code regularly. We're all faced with staffing issues. And as part of that new employee process and onboarding a new key holder, a new manager to your location, got to ensure those alarm codes are changed. And using, again, just like we did for our back office, maybe setting up some motion detection alerts, maybe on our walk-off mats or in our lobby, so that whenever there's motion, we're notified about it and we can take action in the moment. Awesome, awesome. You guys have been fantastic. We've spent the last half hour discussing issues and solutions, and we hope you have some focus for when you return to your day job. This next section is about our SmartAudit Solution. Frankly, I think I love it. I think it's so cool. And what smart audits do are they allow business operators, they give you the opportunity to have skilled professionals review video and that transactional data, and using that data to inform our restaurants on how they're doing against your customized key performance indicators. We have a poll for you around SmartAudit. How often do you check your cameras? Never? Only if I'm looking at it for something specific. Maybe 1 to 3 times a week? Or do you check your cameras daily? Okay, only if I'm looking for something specific, nudged out daily. So it looks like we really have both sides of the coin. And from these results, it sounds like having another pair of eyes at our location would greatly help us out. So I would like you all to meet the smart audit guru, Eric Stevens. He's here to talk to you about the SmartAudit Solution and to take you through the remainder of this webinar. Eric, take it away.
Thanks, Glenn. Hello, everyone. Just walking through and looking at that answer on how often we're looking at cameras and what they're using them, what we're using them for and things, and kind of all the hurdles and things that Glenn's talked about throughout the half hour here. it just shows how many hats are we as leaders wearing when we get to our locations. You know, we're getting calls, we're worried about staffing, loss prevention, cleanliness, order accuracy, speed of service, food costs. Oh my gosh, you know, what could possibly go wrong when we have that much that we're trying to balance all at the same time? I think that's some great insight into what's going on when you walk in. And you know, we'll if you want to hit the next slide. Today I want to talk about our SmartAudit and smart assessment solution. We have a suite of services, if you will, from SmartAudit through a full scale loss prevention solution, but focusing in on what SmartAudit does and what the smart assessment does is SmartAudit, as Glenn stated, kind of gives us that ability to harness what you find important and have our team of experts. Really, we train them on your business based on the questions that you want to answer, and we have them review your video for those answers. In addition, we have AI solutions that work with our team that complement all that information. So speed of service, we're able to get you a good time on what your average speed of service is in a store. But oftentimes our team will find issues. And when I say issues, I mean people stealing. And when we find those issues, we push them over to our smart assessment team. And the smart assessment team is the team that kind of drills into that rabbit hole of activity. So, you know, in your smart audit, you might see somebody, you know, passing out, you know, or eating a French fry for that matter, and pocketing some cash. Well, our smart assessment team will drill into that a little further, find out how long has it been going on, you know, how big is that problem within that particular location, and be able to report back with that information and support that as you move through that finding. Go ahead and hit that next one. Here's just a quick blurb of some information that we put together with our smart audit team and our smart assessment team working in cahoots, I guess. You can see that this company, they came from their old provider, a company that does something similar to us. And I'll tell you that our technology, I find it to be superior to other people's technology, but on the surface, it's cameras and data. So that's not really that much different than what anybody else is doing. What's really different than what everybody else is doing is our teams. Our people are amazing, from, you know, Glenn having obviously restaurant experience, that whole CSM team, experts in the restaurant industry. Our product team, we have different experience throughout retail and restaurant, et cetera. So our whole company, and that's one of the amazing things to me about the company. I just joined, by the way, in October, but that's one of the amazing things to me about the company is our team of professionals. But what you see in this slide is this company joined us in October, and our smart audit team started looking into their information and immediately recognized that $1,920 seems like a high number of returns in a building. And to put that in perspective, we have the power of our network. So we have a lot of this particular brand across our network. And so we were able to run this store up against other same branded stores and said, wow, $1,900 is a lot of money in that particular location. That seems crazy because we have several of them telling us that. So as we dug in, we tracked that through. The data showed us that we should look at this particular cashier, this particular process. And there they had somebody in that building who was taking about $1,700 from them per month. You can see the difference there in October with the red arrow all the way to December. $224 seems a little bit more reasonable for a return rate in that environment. And so if you really look at that, it's a 63% reduction that restaurant got. And if you take that over a year, that's $20,000 savings, give or take. That's just in the first month. You want to go on to that next slide. This is just more of the same. You know, again, they joined us in September, same organization. They had this going on. And I think part of it was probably coming from the fact that they only looked at the video when they needed to. And if they didn't have any data showing them when to look at the video, what they were looking for, they were distracted with all those other things going on. And you know, again, here's another 63% reduction in frauds in that building, and it comes out to about $17,000. So great stuff that we were able to find rather quickly within these locations. So kind of getting back to the hats, right? This we're not just a loss prevention solution. We're not just surveillance. We're not just, all that kind of data and stuff, but this is really about what is right for our client. And this is kind of an example of the top part of a smart audit that really sits down. We sit down with the client, we identify what their needs are, what's important to you, formulate those questions around what you find to be important. We value those questions based on how you value those questions. You can see on the right side, the points, signage is a big deal for this particular client. Dress code's a big deal. Safety is a big deal. The other stuff's not a big deal. It's just not as big of a deal right now for them. So we're able to give a point rating to each of those questions. And our team goes in and finds those issues and says, hey, right now we're looking and all your pop signage pieces are in place. The building looks great. You got your bollards and your pumps, everything looks good. And so there's nothing to worry about. And what this does is this takes and allows leadership to focus on what they're planning on when they go in the building. You don't have to get in the building and find these things yourself. You know that you need to go to the building because they can't get signage right. I have to go to this building and help them fix signage. And that's what you can focus on when you walk in the store, instead of every time you walk in there, it's a first time visit. It's a, hey, did you guys know your signs aren't up on the bollards? No, they were up yesterday. I don't know if any of you have ever heard that, but I've had that once upon a time. Every time it seemed like, my statement was, thank God I flew out here from Chicago just to find this problem for you. So this kind of helps with that. So we don't have to be surprised on visits. We know what's going on and we can work on these things, some of them remotely. I can call a location and say, hey guys, I got your audit back and I noticed that employees aren't washing their hands. This can't happen again, or, hey guys, I got your audit back. Great job on those, whatever, that pop signage being displayed. I know we talked about it last time and it's quite an opportunity that you resolve. So great stuff in the smart audit. I think there's in my next slide, I think what's really cool about our solution is you can manage the program on the platform. So right off the bat, you've got 7, 10, 20, 50 stores, depending on the size of your organization. You can come in here and this helps point you to where you're going, what you're winning in, where your opportunities are. We break it down in location ranking, audit listings. It's all there. What's really cool, the next slide to me, I'm sorry to not spend enough time on there, but that's a dashboard. We have them. What's really cool to me is reporting the action. Is when you get in there, you saw your audit, you can pull your audit up in your dashboard. You can drill right in, pull up that action and go, boom, I'm going to log in here, the conversation that I had. Hey, spoke with Eric, told him great job on the signage. You spelt everything right and posted it correctly. Boom, you rock. And it's right there. And so when I go in there next time and I see that next audit come through, I can say, man, Eric is so good on signage that I really want to give him a signage award. And that can happen. Or I noticed that Eric is terrible at everything and I have it documented and I can hold him accountable. So there's a lot going on. We look at a lot of video. We look at a lot of information to help support everybody. So everybody always asks us, one of the questions that we always get is scalability. I'll give you scalability. I'll give you scalability times X. Give me a number, we can scale to it. And the reason I say that is last year we conducted 260,000 smart audits. So 260,000 times our team went in and looked at cameras to identify issues that customers wanted us to look at. 35% of the time, plus or minus, 35% of the time, we found something. And finding something, incident, it's an incident capture rate. And what I mean by that is those are times where it's a coachable moment. It's I'm not in uniform, my hat's on backwards, I'm not wearing a hairnet, I didn't wash my hands. Those are incidents. 5% of the time, plus or minus, of those audits, we found fraud. We found people stealing. And a lot of that's pushed up to our smart assessment team, who really nails the details. We flagged 552,000 plus transactions. So when you kind of do some math on that, you see we did this many audits. We look at about 5 to 7 transactions per audit. And that means that we reviewed over 1.7 million transactions last year. And our team's flagging them. And when we flag them, we're flagging them as suspicious or as incidents. But again, we're making notes to our clients. Hey, these are some things to help you on your next visit, to help you manage your team remotely, etc. So listen, I would love to have the opportunity to sit with anybody and walk them through this thing forever. I know we're running a little short on time, so I'll throw it back to Glenn. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Awesome. Eric, thank you so much. I know it's not just me who can say, one, we appreciate that insight on Smart Audit, but two, I'm excited for how we've learned about these challenges that we're faced with on a daily basis through safety and security, guest experience, and loss prevention. But now we've also learned about a tool that could do it for us. They could actionate these challenges and help us climb these mountains for us. Incredible, fantastic. So again, thank you to Eric, thank you to Brooke, and thank you all for being here. Let's open it up for Q&A.
So it does look like we have a few questions. The first one, does Smart Audit work on a contingency basis?
I can take that. It's the way we typically do Smart Audit is we have a charge per location that you want to look at. What the way the program works is obviously we're able to work with our cameras or cameras that you have on site. We put a piece of hardware at your location, and then we design questions with you, and then monitor based on the frequency that you want. So it could be one a week, it could be one a month.
Awesome.
Another one, are you open to referral partnerships?
So I could take that as well. So the short answer is yes.
Perfect.
We have a channel partnership person within our company that if you reach out and give us your information, we can put you in contact with Tim.
Fantastic.
All right, another one. Does camera system interact with POS system to enable you to see what is being rung up during transaction?
Yes.
Absolutely. Actually, in our 360iQ system, not only can you look at the transaction, but when you click on the transaction, you can see a copy of the receipt, and you can actually click the action tab to see every action being input in real time with a timestamp and video attached to it for those items on that receipt. So can we link video to the inputs in a transaction? Absolutely.
Another one about video. Does your video platform have audio in addition to video? Is DTiQ able to use audio within Smart Audits, especially with customer greeting or upselling?
Perfect. That's a fantastic question. But before I let you take it away, Eric, I think with the audio and with the POS question before, of course, that's going to be POS dependent, right? Whether or not the POS system at your location is integratable, and whether or not those cameras are set up for audio. But if you're set and your POS can be integrated with 360iQ system, take it away, Eric.
Yes, we have actually a couple ways to integrate with audio. One is, again, camera can have a microphone in it. So we could put a microphone in. We're working on integrating with headsets for drive-through. So that's an option as well. Remember, there is legality issues in certain states and jurisdictions. So, we have experts who are trained on what the legality is to capture audio to ensure two-party consent, et cetera. So, but yes, it is available and we use it regularly.
Awesome.
Thanks, Eric. We have a few more. We have
Okay.
some loss prevention issues with some of our employees. You mentioned earlier running reports against voids, refunds, etc. Can you talk a little bit more about this and what makes one transaction more suspicious than others?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eric, take it away. Take it away. Go for it.
Yes. So we have two methods to do this. One is the human being method. The humans look at it and use human intelligence to say, hey, this looks like a suspicious trend because last month they only had, $500 in refunds, and this month they have $1,000 in refunds. So that's one way. Another way is we have a fraud probability algorithm. So what it does is it actually uses the information within your data and puts up a percentage of likelihood that transaction is fraud. What happens with that is if you're a Smart Audit customer, Smart Assessment customer, obviously our team will choose those transactions first to look at to say, hey, this has a 85% chance of fraud. Let's take a look at it and see why it's fraud. What's unique about DTiQ is that because we have that human element, when our people review those transactions, they flag the transaction. It's either A, yes, it's a suspicious transaction, or no, it's not a suspicious transaction. If they hit either one of those, that feeds right back into our AI algorithm and says, okay, hey, I'm getting smarter now because the humans keep training me. And that's really unique and really exciting for us.
You got it. You got it. Absolutely. And to your other point about setting yourself up those reports, right? So Eric did a great job of explaining how our smart audit system and our team can identify those suspicious transactions. And really, those are going to be any transaction off of the menu price. An item with any transaction, the delete, a cancel, a reopen, a refund, a void, a deleted payment on a transaction. Anything that is not just a regular transaction is going to be flagged as suspicious because it more than likely is. Now, can you set up yourself through our 360 IQ system to review those reports? Absolutely. You can be auto notified and have those reports delivered, sent right to your email the instant there is a refund or a void at your location, or on a weekly or monthly basis per your portfolio, whatever you'd like in terms of your cadence of that transaction review.
Great, thank you. I know we're running out of time, but we have a few more.
Okay.
How often do other businesses typically use smart audits? Is there a specific amount that you recommend?
What do you think, Eric?
We do consulting with our clients to find out what's the right fit for them. We have some clients who use Smart Audit and do it every week, and we have some that do it once a week or once a month. And it's really important based on again, what's the totality of your need, what is your specific issue that you're trying to resolve, and then again, I talk about our team and we have this consulting approach that we go with. We're going to work with you to find the right solution, and it's not a one size fits all kind of solution.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric.
All right, last one. Can you give a few more examples of unsafe work behavior? We saw the employee breaking down the cardboard boxes, but what other examples are measured on a smart audit?
Sure, we measure anything that people want to look at. So we had somebody had a slip hazard. They had a customer injury that took place at the drink station in one of their locations. And so they had put a new policy in place that, they needed to have wet floor signs out. They needed to have a manager monitor drink station every half hour. And so that became an audit question to avoid that kind of incident. Oftentimes you have employees who take out the garbage at busy times of day. And basically they had injuries happening because associates or not injuries, but claims, I should say claims happening. Injuries were, our employees were pushing a bin through the exit door, which happens to lead to the drive-through, hitting people's cars, etc. that's another insurance claim that the restaurant takes on accountability. Opening boxes with box cutters is commonplace. People might get cut. Another is slicers in some deli type environments, where they, cleaning the slicer, you have to take that apart, and that thing that cuts meat's pretty used to cutting meat, and the human hand sometimes gets injured in that. And so we have audits where we watch those activities as well. So lots of workers' comp type review.
Awesome. Thank you, Eric. Great insight into the safety and security aspect of smart audits and how granular we can get.
And that's all the questions we have so far.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, again, I want to thank everyone for attending. We appreciate your time. For more questions, please feel free to contact us, dtiq.com/demo or marketing@dtiq.com. You've all been amazing, and I appreciate you. Take care, everyone.